What's a little thing you do to make the world a better place? I leave spare quarters in gumball machines. I like to think it makes somebody happy every once in a while. I pick up a few pieces of trash each time I walk my dog. It's a very tiny thing, but I like to think it adds up. When someone gets cut off repeatedly in conversation, I make an effort to make eye contact with them and say, "Go ahead. I'm listening." Or something along those lines. Compliment people. I saw on here that men don't get many compliments, so I try to do it in as unflirty a way as possible so it doesn't get awkward. Simple stuff like "cool shirt." When I remove an item from a grocery store shelf, I move the same item forward to replace it. ESB top shelf items. Use manners. Sounds inconsequential, but after working hospitality/retail, the amount of people that don't use them is terrible. Take care of my things. We didn't have much while growing up, and my mother always believed in quality. She would buy things she knew we would use a lot. I have the same pencil case from 6th grade. I'm in grad school now. I have linen bed sheets, water bottles, fountain pens, mugs, and even some clothes that I've used for over 10 years. This helps me consume less, in turn creating less waste. I feel like we should strive to reduce before reusing and recycling. I always make sure to be overly polite to people serving me, whether in a restaurant or a shop, and I always tell them to have a good day when I leave. Having worked in retail, I know a simple "how are you?" "thank you," or a "have a nice day" can mean a lot, especially on a bad shift. I was raised to have good manners, and it'll be damned if I don't flex them at any opportunity I have. It always surprises/saddens me that other people can't be the same way. I don't know if it makes the world a better place, but I try to be as nice as possible to people. Even strangers who come up and talk to me, I'm nice to them. I don't know what they are going through, but sometimes we just need someone to talk to. Take my shopping cart to the return corral when I'm done with it. Donate blood products. Your body's constantly making red blood cells and platelets, and it's harmless, and possibly healthy, to donate. I started with whole blood because, well, that's what donating blood means to people. 15 minutes of time. Eat a cookie. Get a sticker. After I did that for a few gallons, I was asked if I'd consider donating platelets. They have to be used within 5 days of collection, so there's always a constant need. But it takes about 2 hours to do it. A single pint of blood doesn't have enough for a platelet transfusion. So the donor ends up hooked to an apheresis machine that'll centrifuge the blood, remove the platelets, and return the rest of the blood back to the body. So I end up watching Netflix for 2 hours on Saturday while doing another triple donation every other week, up to 24 times a year. It's like Spider-Man's quote in Civil War: "When you can do the things I can, but you don't, and then the bad things happen. They happen because of you." Obviously, donating like this isn't saving the world, but it's making the world a better place. And I'd feel ashamed if I just spent that time watching Netflix at home instead of doing some good at the same time. I also donated bone marrow in 2008. So that was a little more of a "if you can help and don't, and bad things happen, it's your fault" situation, as I was the best available match in the entire world for my recipient. That was a little thing to me, but a life-changing thing for that person's family. I always go on the side of the sidewalk closest to the cars when I see an elderly person or someone with a baby. I doubt anything changes really, but I like to think I'm being selfless. Whenever I see a fellow woman wearing something super great looking, I'll go as far as to yell, "I like your dress/hair/makeup," across the street. I stay up till 4 a.m. each day because I have several friends who are struggling during the lockdown and are getting depressed, so I stay up till then either waiting to see if they'll talk or talk to them to calm them before they fall asleep mid-convo. Some days I don't get a message from any of them and I've stayed up till 4 a.m. for no reason, but I don't mind because I care for them and one of them is my so I love and care for her so much. Smile at strangers I pass. When I was younger, I read something, may or may not have been true, that a man was contemplating suicide and told himself that if one person smiled at him that day then he wouldn't do it. And no one did. So he killed himself. Again. I don't know if it was just a story or if it actually happened. But I told myself from then on I'd smile at anyone I passed on the street. I'm a couponer. I get a lot of free stuff. Especially toothpaste. Every now and then I go through my stash and box up the extra and give it to a local organization that helps those in need. Also, every time I give someone a birthday gift, I throw a toothpaste in there too. Because why not? I am shy, so I find it hard to say in person when I have received good or great customer service, so I like to email the company directly and let them know. I always try to remember the person's name and to be specific, so that it might make it back to the employee or they might win an Employee of the Month award. Not something I do on the regular because of lockdown and several other variables. But when I'm in London and it's raining, if I'm at a crossing with tourists with young kids who don't have umbrellas, I'll hold the umbrella over the kid's head instead of mine. There's a kid who lives above me who can't have a dog and gets excited when he sees mine when we're both outside. So I basically give up a good half hour letting them play together while he tells me about how much he wants a dog. I'm still paying my cleaner throughout isolation even though she's not here. Figure I'm lucky enough to still have my job, so I should be able to help her keep hers. Hope her other clients are doing the same. Loop back around to someone if they get cut off during conversation. In high school, I had one friend who would always dominate the conversation and would cut off people while they were talking. Or straight up tell them no one cares and talk about herself. I know it sounds silly and cliche, but she viewed herself as more popular. So she would do this to exert her power over others. She used to do this to me all the time when I was less popular. But I eventually became one of the more popular ones in the group. So she came to respect me a lot more. Anytime she cut someone off in conversation, I would loop back around to them and ask, "Sorry, what were you saying about?" to give them a chance to speak. I know it's such a small thing. And teenage girl politics and power flexes are so stupid. But one thing I always carried with me was how poorly that girl treated me when she didn't view me as popular. So I made sure to include everyone in our friend group once she came to respect me more. I still do this today. If a softer spoken person gets cut off during conversation because I think it makes them feel like people actually care what they have to say. So duck that girl from high school. But also thank you in a way. I was talking to another girl from that friend group recently. And she told me that she recently had to cut off ties and go to therapy for the way that girl treated her. I just try to be nice. I dislike a ton of people I work with, but it'll be damned if they dislike me for being rude. Chalking sidewalks, telling people they are loved and sharing positive words. Your worth is not determined by your productivity. You are doing the best you can. You are worthy of love simply for existing. If you need help, text home to 741 to 741. Making hopscotch on a trail. It is small. But watching people walk on the sidewalks after I have chalked is so satisfying. Especially when they do not know it is me. EDA. Wow. Thank you for the silver. First award ever. I am smiling. My mom would take us out on hikes to our local nature trail. We each had a small grocery bag that we would try to fill up with litter. Avoid fast fashion by getting all my clothes secondhand. And supporting local businesses as much as possible. Especially right now. I try to help when I see people in need. A few weeks ago I pushed a lady's car up to a gas pump. Yesterday I gave a couple some water bottles. They went for an evening walk out by their house and were coming to top of a very long semi-steep hill. We were way out in the forest, so I drive by slow and asked if they were alright. They just chuckled and said yes, and the husband asked if we had any water, so I pulled over to the side and gave them each a bottle from my cooler. My favorite random act of kindness was seeing a guy with his hood up on I-25. Stopped and asked him if I could help cause I had my tools with me. He said he owned a shop not far from my house and just needed a ride to get his other vehicle, and his wife and kids were in the car. Even showed me his cards. I gave him a ride and he noticed my power steering pump was going out and told me to call him next week and he would look at it. When I met up with him, he got me a power steering pump and installed it. It was an old Chevy, so cheap and easy for him. He said he had been sitting there 45 minutes and I was the first person to stop for him, and that's why he did it.